Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain. I am so glad that you are here. Let me start by saying this. If you're stuck in your healing, I have a solution for you. Stop trying to do it alone. I know. I say this with love. Stop trying to do it alone. There's only so far that you can get when you're dealing with repressed emotions and when you're dealing with stuff that exists outside of your awareness. There's only so far that you can get when you're on your own. And if you're, it's a weird duality because on one side, nobody's going to save you from your pain. Nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to heal for you. That is true. You're going to, this is you, you're in the driver's seat. You have the power and no one else does. This is you. That is true. And we also have to hold in the other hand that you can't fully see the things that you're not aware of. You can't easily see the things that you're defended against. And I just want to offer this. If you're stuck, my advice to you is stop trying to do it alone. And I know that, doing things independently has been a survival strategy for you, and it's worked really well in so many different places. Chronic pain healing is usually not the place where doing it all alone is going to be super helpful to you. Finding help, let yourself do it. Let yourself do it. If you're stuck, just let yourself find help. And the reason I'm saying this is, well, two things. The interview we have today is with a really awesome therapist who is has an amazing healing story, which you're about to hear. I'm excited for you to hear this one. And she, does the same kind of work that I do. She does one-on-one work with people. And she also has a group, a mind-body healing group program that I just want to say, if you need something, consider this. This might really help you. The link, everything is in the show notes for this episode. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if as you've been listening to this podcast, you connect with me, if you're tuning into yourself, you're tuning into that inner voice. If you find that you're connected to my voice, that you're connected to me, that you would like me to help you, yeah, listen to that voice. And I would love to work with you. I would love to be your therapist, and you can easily reach out to me through my website, mindbodymedicineforchronicpain.com or seanhershey.com. They'll both take you there. And we would start with having a consultation a brief consultation to sort of feel it out. And then we could move forward with scheduling weekly therapy. Okay, a couple of announcements before we start. First, an interview. So one of my friends and colleagues in the mind body healing space, her name is Anna Holtzman, and she interviewed me. This was a while ago now. She has an awesome podcast called How to Trust Yourself. I listened to so many of those episodes. It's such a good one. If you see me with my headphones in and you wonder what is he doing, it's probably listening to the How to Trust Yourself podcast. And I was interviewed for the podcast. This is a while ago now, maybe a couple months. Anna has there's a lot of people on her podcast, so she has a backlog of people. So the one with me just came out. And so I listened to it yesterday and I was like, what? This man is wise and has all these insights. And I have so much to learn from him. And I was like, this is just a previous version of myself. I'm it's weird to listen back to that. I'm I honestly think I was actually at a point a couple months ago where I was better attuned to my true self and better in line with my true self. And I'm whoa, I feel like I maybe have slipped out of that a little bit. And I need to get back on that train because that version of myself was really wise and what I will do when I hear a podcast episode that I really like, and I feel like I need to listen to again because I like need to like internalize it and like learn from it. I'll save it. I literally saved that podcast episode because I'm like, I need this. Um, so if people are interested in that, especially when it comes to, I mean, I think the way that truly the way that it landed with me, like, being yourself, not being afraid to be yourself, authentically connecting to your true self, letting yourself be human. If you want more of that content, by all means, check out my most recent, the conversation I had with Anna Holtzman. That's linked below. Honestly, it feels sort of weird to say, but I'm like, I highly recommend it. I think it's a good one. Okay, and final announcement before we get to the interview. This is just such weird serendipity happenstance. I just have to share it. After Grace and I so we recorded this interview in the like late afternoon. That evening, I was biking somewhere, and lo and behold, this was such a moment of like weirdly just like what is happening to me? Like things just feel aligned right now. I saw the doctor and author Gabor Mate on the street in my neighborhood in front of a Walgreens. And I like screeched to a halt on my bike. I was like, what? And I'm like, he has a very distinctive look to him. I'm like, that's gotta be him. Like nobody else looks like that, right? That was just so nuts. And I was like, should I say something to him? And I was like, that's ridiculous. Let me just let him live his life. If he's going to Walgreens, let him go to Walgreens. It was him, and he was with a woman who I don't know, maybe that's his wife or partner. I don't know. But I'm like, doesn't Gabor Mate live in Canada? I'm like, what are you doing in deep Brooklyn on Cortelyou Road in my neighborhood in front of a Walgreens? That was wild. Like, that was seriously wild. Um, Maybe it wasn't him, but I'm like, Gabor Mate, if you're listening, I saw you, and what are you doing in all the way over here? But anyway, I just it was just such a moment of like bizarre serendipity that I was like, how am I seeing this like world renowned mind body doctor just like walking down the street? Um, and I just want to share that with you, to share that moment of serendipity with you, that maybe there's something a little magical about this interview. Maybe there's something a little magical about this moment. Okay, those are my announcements. Wow. Um, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Grace Secker. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain podcast. I am here today with Grace Secker. Hi, Grace.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I actually, now that I say that out loud, I'm like, I'm saying your last name correctly, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's like a Secker with an S. Yeah, I know. It's a little weird, but also once you get it, you're like, okay, it's not that weird, or it's not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. And Grace is a fellow therapist, just like me, and just like so many people who are on this show. So,
Yeah.
glad you're here to join the ranks.
Thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have a lot to say, a lot to teach us about chronic pain stuff, a lot to say about your own journey and what you do professionally. So why don't you start with just telling us about, like, just introduce yourself, what you do professionally, and if you want to include anything you do personally, that is cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am a somatic therapist and specialize in chronic pain and illness work, just like you, just like this podcast is here for. I definitely didn't start that way. I went into therapy to be a therapist, actually went into school for therapy straight after college because I was very thankfully and gratefully put into therapy in high school. I dealt with a lot of debilitating suicidal depression, anxiety, and I found a therapist and a girls group actually that, I mean, truly saved my life. And I'm very, very grateful for it and absolutely loved it. It was like my safe haven I could go to each week. And so I was like, I want to do this. I want to help other girls like me.
Mm.
So I actually went into therapy to be a teen girl therapist.
Mm.
um, And as I got through school and tried it out a little bit, I realized I don't think working with kids or teens are my thing. I highly value the people that do, and the therapists that specialize in essentially underage, right? But it
Yeah.
just wasn't for me.
Mhm.
And I kind of went down another route and actually first became an eating disorder therapist,
Mm.
and really loved that. And I've always put in some sort of mind body work within my therapy because for me, I am a very body based person. I mean, as I will share with you, my body literally talks to me. And I've just always been in movement, always been some way, shape, or form involved. I'm a yoga therapist as well. I went through yoga therapy training. And so I've brought in a lot of different ways to move my body spiritually, with psychology, with therapy. So that's kind of the traditional route of therapy in a way that I went. And along that way, I developed a lot of different types of chronic symptoms. I mean, I
Yeah.
think you mentioned this too, like, I can track back to, I mean, early in childhood having quote unquote "weird symptoms," weird things, or always being sick and going to the doctor, and they were like, "Maybe it's just allergies. I don't know, she looks fine."
Yep.
Um, the first, like, big one I can identify was I was in 5th grade, so, like, 11 years old, and I'd have what they essentially called our stress headaches.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was quite a migraine, which is why they didn't officially say it was a migraine, but it was like, I mean, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just be so distraught, like crying because it felt, I mean, like my head was gonna explode.
Mm.
Um, and it lasted for a few months on and off and then
Yeah.
just went away one day.
Yeah.
Very neuroplastic.
Yeah, totally. A fellow childhood chronic headache survivor, so I'm
Yeah.
with you on that one. Yes. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, let's, let's get into your story, let's talk about, like, the pains you've experienced, your healing journey. I mean, yeah, and let's start at the beginning, 5 years old.
I
Let's
mean,
go.
I will I'll go, yeah. So, I mean, there's that. I was a highly anxious child. That was just that was known. Parents didn't know what to do with it, but just known. I mean, I was so painfully shy. Um, and like I said, in high school, dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety. So that kind of defined those years a lot. And then went into college and was still pretty depressed. Um, but I just went on with life, didn't really know what else to do, and went into school for therapy, and I was really excited about it. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna learn what I wanna learn, I'm gonna help people, and maybe I'll help myself through this." And that's actually when a lot of the really, really difficult pain came on, was honestly the beginning of grad school, middle of grad school. Um, I couldn't sit during class without being in excruciating pain all up and down my back, my hips. I am hypermobile, so I'm on the EDS hypermobility scale, and so that was kind of my definition. Well, your joints are hypermobile, you have this different body, you're gonna have pain. Just
Mhm.
kinda like that's how it is.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was doing all the things, going to all the chiropractors, going to all the doctors, going to naturopaths. I mean, I went down unturned every stone. If you've done any kind of spiritual healing, I've probably done it too. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
All right. Yeah, will you just, like,
Yeah.
EDS, Ehlers-Danlos, is that correct? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Will you just, like, give we actually have not really talked about that on this podcast, so could you just give people a little
Mhm.
window into that?
Yeah, definitely. It's something I'm starting to talk more about too.
Cool.
Um, Not only in just the past few years, I fully understand that it is neuroplastic, but just to grasp it too. So it is a structural, actually, there can be a lot of different symptoms. The EDS scale, Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, is a wide range of symptoms where you fit your body, your joints are hypermobile, which for some people identify that as they're double jointed. It's not the correct medical term, but that's what people identify, right?
Or
I'm
how people
double
would just say.
jointed in a lot of my joints.
Yeah.
Um, and if you are officially diagnosed with EDS at the more severe scale, it can actually have implications with your heart and things like that. So there are real medical implications. Now, for me, I am on the scale of I'm truly more just hypermobile within my body. And so, my hips will go out of alignment or my neck will go out of alignment. And so if I went to a chiropractor, they're like, "Oh yeah, your body's all quote unquote messed up. You have this misalignment in your spine, this misalignment in your hips."
Mhm.
And I come from a family with that. Both my parents are hypermobile as well. So it was always this story in our household. My parents always dealt with lots of chronic pain and symptoms, which they're now starting to come around to neuroplastic symptoms. But,
Wow.
like, I mean, from when I was a baby, a kid, our household was always someone at the doctor. So, learned, right? I very much so
Right,
learned
right.
it.
No, and I'm just thinking about, like, how, like, as a kid, you learned, like, this is how we take care of, the body is by going to the
Mhm.
doctor, and this is how we conceptualize the body is that there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, and there's always
Yeah,
pain. There's just always pain in the body in my home and my family.
yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, the height of it was grad school.
Oh, yeah, 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 okay, great, yeah,
Yeah.
so let's resume there.
Thank you for keeping me on track. I have a full story I could go on. Yeah, so, I mean, there was a diagnosis of fibromyalgia at one point, which I didn't fully thankfully, I didn't give a lot of identity to. I didn't really wanna take it on because I was like, "Sure, I guess it fits me." But I also was getting into the functional world and holistic world, and I didn't wanna give myself a diagnosis, a label.
Mhm,
Which I'm again thankful for. I didn't
mhm,
identify with that. But
mm.
yeah, so I was going to this naturopath for a little bit and he finally looked at me and he was like, I think you need to go see this psychologist that I know who works with people with chronic pain." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, sure, I've been in therapy before. I'll go to whoever. We don't learn about this in school. Mind you, I was in school to be a therapist.
Of course, and we
And
don't learn about it. Let's get to that because we don't learn about it.
I
Go
had
ahead.
no idea, no
No,
connection at all that anything physical was mentally or emotionally connected. Nothing, absolutely
same,
nothing. And
and
actually,
some of
some of my professors knew what I was going through,
and had
and
no, idea of how to help you. Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
no.
Isn't that shocking? But also, of course, and also same. Some of my worst IBS years were when I was also in graduate school to be a therapist, and the couple years after, like, my first few jobs, um,
Mm, yeah.
no idea. No idea. Truly no idea. But yeah, yeah. So so go ahead. You're in
Yeah.
you're in grad
So
school.
I went to the psychologist, and she actually did some work under I think it was someone else under Dr. John Sarno. Like she learned some of
Wow.
this methodology. Wasn't actually coined it wasn't PRT, pain reprocessing therapy at the time,
Mhm.
because it wasn't really formed yet, but that's what she was doing essentially with me. She made me read, the Mindbody Prescription. That was the first book I read,
Wow.
and I saw her for about 6 months, and within that time, around 90 or so percent of my pain went away, and I was like, "Okay." But at the time and it was great. I didn't I mean, I kinda moved on, I just didn't focus on it. A big part of our therapy was just don't focus on the pain so much, it's not physically based.
Mhm.
I was also 20, I guess, 5 maybe at the time, and so I was grasping it, but I don't think I fully understood the connection and everything, especially the emotional connection. I will say I did not understand that very well,
Mhm.
until more recently, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
Um And so, yeah, I just kinda moved on with life. I did more traditional therapy, became eating disorder therapist and kinda moved on.
Well, yeah, yeah, let me sit with that, like,
Yeah.
when you were
Uh-huh.
around 25 and you, like, experienced a lot of symptom relief, and clearly this is
Mhm.
not the end of the journey or,
Yeah.
not like not like the, "I've come to a point of homeostasis with the journey," but,
Mhm.
how do you think you would have described at that point what had happened? Like, how would you have described your recovery at that point?
That's a great question. Because I remember even trying to describe it to my parents, and it was like I couldn't put it all into words. But
Mhm,
what I was grasping the most was that she was really focused on the unconscious rage, the unconscious fight, which
mhm.
Dr. John Sarno talks
Very
about.
Dr. Sarno, yeah.
Yeah. And again, I was still like, I think I grasp it, but, like, I'm not totally getting it. I had to read the book a couple times.
Mhm,
Um, but my understanding was, well, my brain is just misfiring signals, so I'm telling it not to, essentially. I'm just saying, "Hey, it's not physically based." Again, I'm just not focusing on it. I think a lot of part of me, which most of us, we have symptoms, we have pain, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it, trying to figure it out. I would cry at going to sleep at night because I was in so much pain, like, "What's going on?" And so, then it was, "Oh, well, I know nothing's wrong with me, so I'm okay." So it was just I guess really I didn't name it this, but it was more brain training at the
Got
time.
it. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that totally makes sense, that totally makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, I'll just share that with my IBS, the first thing that I found was brain retraining. It was a program called DNRS, Dynamic Neural Retraining System, and that really helped me a lot. I would say it was not 90% better. I would give it maybe 60, 70, 80, like sort of flirting around the like 75% better mark. Um, and that was enough for me to be like, okay, let me just let this live in the background. And then but it was still a problem. Like I still would have been like, yes, my
Mhm,
stomach is all like, it still hurts every day, and it's like I still have stomach issues for sure. And it wasn't until finding the fullness of mind body work, like the fullness, like the emotional sides of the TMS theory, that
mhm,
then my stomach like really calmed down a lot more. And now I can confidently say like I don't have chronic IBS anymore. But it was for me similarly, like the brain retraining like did a lot, but it didn't do everything. But
mhm,
yeah, that's cool. But okay, so anyway, you get a lot better, you go on with
mhm.
life, you become an eating disorder therapist, then what?
Well, so my body started talking to me again. Fast forward, I don't know, 4 to 5 years. And I would say within there were periods of time where I'd have the same symptoms in my hips and my back a little bit every now and then, but I'd kinda my strategy, because again, I didn't understand the fullness of it, was kind of ignore because it wasn't real, like, wasn't needing to be fixed.
Mhm,
So it was kinda like, "Okay, I have this, it's, my SI joints acting up again." Maybe I would get a massage just to kinda feel good and move on. So, like, there were definitely some things there, nothing crazy bad like it was at all.
mhm,
Um, and then I started to develop, which I don't think it just came on, I think there were a lot of this leading up to it, but, I started getting hit with a lot of chronic fatigue, a lot of other types of symptoms like brain fog, chronic illness stuff, and so I went down and I had no idea this was in the realm of treatment that I could use with Mindbody. I had no idea, I thought
mhm,
these were separate because this wasn't physical muscle or joint pain.
mhm.
This was overall, feeling sick, feeling, like, ill.
It feels so different. That's I mean,
Yep.
with me, like, having, like, hip pain and,
Mhm,
IBS are my main symptom imperatives. They feel so different. It is so weird to think that they come from the same place because they feel so different.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I went down the whole, like, treatment rabbit hole again. I mean, I'm very functionally holistically minded, so got all the tests from functional medicine doctors and treatments and protocols, and I turned over everything, and I did have things on my scans and my tests saying like, "Oh, you have leaky gut. Oh, you have mold in your body. Oh, you have all these things." So, went down many, many thousands of dollars of treatment.
And it's always so,
And
so, so expensive, right? Like, man.
so much, but I like, at that point, I remember being like, "Yeah, this is it. This is my life. I
Right.
believe in this. I know it's gonna help me. I'm gonna be in this, like, clean lifestyle."
Yeah.
And I will say this too, I was aware of how rigid I was getting with it because going through what I did not mention, I became an eating disorder therapist because I also went through eating disorder in grad school. So eating disorder and chronic pain were, like, my grad school years.
Yeah.
So coming out of that, I'm hyper aware of me being rigid around food and diet and stuff. So I knew that. So I do think that was helpful because I didn't go so strict into, like, diet, but I was aware. I was
Mhm,
trying to
mhm.
help myself.
Mm. Right, right. It's like the different just hearing you say, like, "clean lifestyle." It's like, yeah, that's awesome. A clean lifestyle sounds great, and the shadow side of that is, like, the deep rigidity, the fear-based lifestyle, because you could also call it clean lifestyle a fear-based lifestyle. It in like, if it's done in a certain way. So
Mhm.
all this stuff has so many layers to it.
It is something I eating disorders and chronic pain and illness, I actually really like to talk about a lot because they overlap so much. There's so many similar as we talk about, like, personality characteristics with
Yeah.
PRT and chronic pain and illness. I mean, they're pretty much the same with eating disorders. Getting really caught in trying to do everything perfectly and rigidly and feeling failure if we don't, feeling so much fear driving all of our actions and thoughts and behaviors and emotions. And very much so me. That is me.
Yeah, same, same. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so during that time, I was aware, but I was stuck. I mean, I was at the point where I was like, I might just have to quit my job or I might just have to quit my business for a little bit. Like I don't know what to do anymore. And finally, I was on a trip with my ex at the time and I could barely get up in the morning and I was thinking, "Oh, it's because of the laundry detergent the Airbnb used and there's probably mold in the house and I'm eating different diet that I'm out, and I was thinking, like, I'm just gonna have to be in a bubble, I can't leave my house anymore. And
Gosh,
so I
yeah.
was having a breakdown one morning, and my ex looked at me, and he was just like, "What if you applied what you did with your chronic pain to this?" And he didn't even know me at that time, he just knew my story. And I went into a whole, like, "What are you talking about? This is real. I am in so much pain." And
Yeah.
I got super defensive, and,
Yeah. Classic TMS patient.
he
Yeah.
doesn't understand me because he
Right,
didn't get it, like,
right,
didn't.
right.
But, so yeah, I just thought he was just unsupportive and didn't understand. And I came around, honestly, it took about a day. The next day, I was just kinda like light bulb, literally like a cartoon character going off in front of my head above my head. "Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah."
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, and let me just say, I mean, what
yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting point in the story because it's like there's so much there. It's like maybe he did understand, maybe he legitimately didn't understand. Like maybe
Mhm.
like maybe the emotion is real even if the thought process is misguided. Like I feel like there's so much there with
Mhm.
having such a strong emotion, and to be in a point of life where you're like, I am so exhausted, I have no energy, and like maybe it's the detergent. Totally relate to that. I mean, and I'm sure people listening to this will relate to that too, the years that I was like, because I may have had food from a restaurant that was cross contaminated with some gluten 2 weeks ago. Maybe that's why I feel
Oh,
this way now. And it's like, wow. Like for
I
anybody who's in that
know.
thought process or who dips back into that thought process, who listens to this podcast, like my heart goes out to you because that's such a hard place to be. And I just really want to, I mean, we'll keep going with the story.
Yeah.
I know that the next part is going to be, think emotionally and psychologically, not so physically. That's my plea to you if you're stuck in that place. But yes, go on with the story.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is very true. I mean, the amount and I even here's the thing with that, actually, I'll say this first.
Please.
There was a part of me that did kind of question it in a way. Like, I know there was a
Mhm.
deeper part that was like, "God, this can't be it. Like, this cannot be my life. Is this really real that I get so sick by being someone else's room that actually was a pretty nice, clean Airbnb?" I don't know, it wasn't something
Mhm.
crazy, it
Mhm.
gross or anything.
Right.
And, like, I mean, but I didn't know what else to do. I just thought, "Well, yeah, that's what's happening." And
Right.
I mean, also, I was literally told by functional doctors, "That is what's happening."
Yes.
So they're putting this into my brain and, like,
Yes.
telling me, "Oh, well, you have mold in your body. Oh, well, all these different toxic products that people use, you're reacting to them." Literally
Right.
blank would tell me that point blank.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, I gotta trust that, and, my house is all clean and I'm fine at home," which really, if I'm looking at it, I wasn't that fine at home. I still wasn't feeling great, like,
Right, the
oh
logic doesn't even make sense, but yeah,
exactly.
you believe it, and I'm glad you're bringing that up that, like, this is what we have, like, this is the information
Yeah.
we have, so it's what we go off of. If somebody's telling you, like, "Yeah, something's really wrong with you, like, you have mold toxicity, I have many clients who have mold toxicity, this is what you gotta
Mhm.
do." why would you not believe that? Like, this is the information we have, so it's where we go, and it's so fear-based, and it's not helpful.
I will say this for anyone listening, the mold world is so fear-based. I mean, oh my goodness, and I've been through it, like, I've been through bouts of mold, exposure and toxicity, like, a few different times,
Hmm,
and it is that's been my journey, a thing for me. And the community sometimes, the messaging boards
hmm.
on Facebook about mold, and it's just, oh, if you're in that, take a little bit of just take a little bit of a step back. I don't want you
Yeah,
to get so wrapped up in those, like, messaging boards of what hotels to stay in or where is clean and where is not, and what if you see a little bit of spot on somewhere. It's just, I mean, you can't live like that. It's horrible.
yeah,
So, my heart goes out to you if you're in that, and know that you don't have to pay attention to every little thing. Because as we are getting to, and I'm sure you've talked about before, I mean, our nervous system is on hypervigilance. And when we think there's mold and when we feel it, we sense it, we identify with it, yeah, we're gonna react because that's fear. It's fear-based.
yeah.
Also, with that too, that I'm not discounting the real effects of really difficult black mold. Like, that's why this is tricky, because that is
Yep.
very real.
Mhm.
It's just that it is not necessarily needed or real to respond to, um, how do I say this? Lower levels of mold, and, like, that could be a whole other podcast episode, but
Total wait, no, okay,
there
let's actually sit there for just a second, 'cause that
yeah.
I love that you're bringing this point up. I did a podcast one time about medical trauma, and I think it
Mhm.
was that one, now there so this was many years ago. I read this New York Times piece about it was totally unrelated, but it was about Russian propaganda and how
Mm.
the Russian state uses propaganda to, like, take down their enemies. Honestly, really, really, really interesting.
Wow.
But, what one of the lines in it that I will never forget was that, they were like, "The best lie is a lie with a kernel of truth in it." And I was like, "That is so true." And that applies also to, the best misinformation, like politically, is the misinformation where they're like, part of it is kind of actually true. So when you're refuting it, you can't be like, that's completely false. It's like, well, okay, this little part is true, but the rest of it is completely false. And then you lose your audience. And it's the same with medical misinformation. We're like, yeah, black mold is dangerous. Like there are
Mhm.
certain things about mold, like, yeah, you don't want to be like, you know what I mean? You don't I mean, I don't even know the ins and outs of it, but it's like, yes, there's some danger there. And so, if somebody tells you, like, if you come in contact with any mold at all, which is like welcome to life. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
can only imagine how much mold there is in my life.
Mhm.
That's normal. The human body can withstand, like, normal amounts of mold, dust, dust mites, pollen,
Mhm.
etc. The human body is built to withstand, like, normal amounts of that. But it's easy to believe, oh, it's all terrible because some of it is terrible.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can even have, and so here's where I got to
Yeah.
eventually, was that, so I've had many different testing of mold within my body.
Mhm.
And so, like, the first test that came up, that's why they said, "Oh, you have mold in your body. That's why you're reacting. Let's detox you."
Yeah.
I still, to this day, have mold in my body.
I
I
was
don't have
just gonna
symptoms.
say, okay, yes, I have mold in my body, I don't have symptoms. There we go. Underline that a million times. Thank you for saying that.
Exactly. And you could go back years of this too. I have mold in my body, I was reacting. I have mold in my body, I'm not. Like, it is very, very real and true. And so, again, like, if you're literally in the red off the charts on every single mold level on that test, and you've literally been in a house or apartment with very like black mold, that's not great. Like, I get that. Help yourself, get help.
Yeah.
Um, but but it is not, everyone has a certain level of it in their body. That's normal, just like you said, because of that's life. But
Yeah.
our nervous systems, our bodies are so powerful and wise. It doesn't need to respond to everything. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, yeah.
that has been my journey with functional medicine and testing and chronic illness. Like, I still have I guarantee you, I will still show up with all these different, like, gut things, SIBO, leaky gut, whatever it is, I still probably do. Will show up on tests. I don't have symptoms anymore.
Yeah.
So,
That's powerful.
I love that you can actually see that, but that's where
Yes.
people get stuck. I got stuck there, really did. Yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we have studies in the field that slip discs don't cause pain, or
exactly,
that disc degeneration doesn't cause pain. I'm excited for when there's more studies along these lines, like, because we have the anecdotal
exactly.
evidence, like,
Mhm.
exactly what you're saying. But like, I'm excited for when there's actual studies that like refute all of this garbage,
Exactly.
But okay. So then you have this realization, like, aha, the light bulb goes off. I am like the fatigue is related to the rest of the symptoms. Then what?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and part of this is important.
Yeah, yeah.
I was also reacting to food. I was down to eating like 10 foods for like a year and a half. I was having histamine reactions and really difficult, almost migraine type headaches. And I also, with that, had this like, I was like, God, this mimics an eating disorder. But it wasn't. It very much so wasn't. I knew I was past that, like, it didn't feel like that, but I was like, "My body, something's off here," but I couldn't figure it out. I was truly reacting. I would eat something and within 15 minutes, like, be in bed. And so, with that, that aha moment came, and I didn't know about this world at all, about PRT or anything, and so I actually went and tried to find that therapist I saw again, and I actually couldn't find her. I was like, "Oh, I guess she closed her practice. I don't know." She wasn't anywhere. And then I just started Googling and I ended up finding Curable,
Mm,
the app.
mhm,
Um, and I downloaded it and I started to listen to it and go through the lessons and the practices. And I say this with the caveat, like, I think because I've done the work before, it clicked. It
mhm,
was like, got it.
mhm.
Okay. Food is not dangerous. So I first started working with food because that was like the worst thing. And, within about 2 weeks, truly 2 weeks, I was back to eating most anything, and I was fine.
Wow, wow, that's
So,
amazing. That's
it was
amazing.
I mean, it was a huge quick turnaround with, like, a couple main things, and just kept going from there, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is it."
Mhm.
I just dove into the world again and the world that now is PRT and everything. I took the PRT training because that was the point where I was like, I have to do this professionally now. It was just like my whole world opened up. I was like, I get it. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
This is how my healing happens. And that was probably that was like almost 5 years ago or so. It's been a journey since then too. But yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, and it's so cool to hear about those big successes that happen quickly. I mean, it's just so inspiring. I know that there's people who listen to this podcast who are, like, on, like, a long, long healing journey, and I don't
Mhm.
know. I wonder if there are I don't know. I don't know if there are people who listen to this who are, like, kind of dipping a toe in. If so,
Mhm.
like, hi, listen to Grace's story. Like, this was a quick turnaround to some big symptoms. That's really awesome. Um, let's go next into
Mhm.
I know you have said to me in the past that, like, in the past year and a half, you've really gone a lot deeper into, like, emotional stuff. And I know, like, you started with, at the beginning of the story, you're like, when I had the first therapist and read the
Mhm.
Dr. John Sarno book, like, I got the basics, but I didn't get, like, the deeper emotional stuff. So let's go there. I mean, whatever you're comfortable sharing about where you've been
Mhm.
taking this with yourself, more recently.
Yeah. So I have the past couple years have been pretty big transformation for me, and I think it really has been the emotional and the lifestyle changes, kinda like you talk about there's 3 prongs or 3 areas of this work, right? Working with the brain training, emotional work, and lifestyle changes or living authentically.
Yes.
And for me, the emotional living authentically has come in the past couple years, kind of kickstarting with divorce, actually. I got divorced a couple years ago,
Oh, yeah.
and that was I mean, when we talk about do you need to change something in your life for your body to heal or not, for me, I did.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Like, because I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of fear around that, obviously. I mean, who wants to be like, "Well, to heal my back pain, I had to get a divorce."
Yeah.
So I love that you can speak to us from, like, some
Mhm.
people's, like, worst fear realized. But, like,
I mean,
could you tell us a little bit about that
yeah.
experience? Whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
I'm pretty open about it because it truly I mean, yeah. I mean, some of the worst symptoms I had was when we were engaged. I was in the midst of it. I mean, my body was literally shutting down
Mhm,
and obviously did not create the connection or even if there really needed to be that connection at that point, I don't know. But yeah, those years were some of the worst. And so it wasn't even I really didn't even go through the divorce process. The part of me that was like, "Oh, I think my body needs to heal because I've been in this unhappy relationship," that really actually wasn't a part of my awareness until a little bit later,
mm,
because I was actually feeling pretty good up
mm,
until, like, I got divorced. A couple months later, it's almost like everything hit me. Grief hit me again. My body started shutting down again. I went through really just more like fatigue crashes. I didn't never had any more histamine reactions or food sensitivities at all. Very grateful for that, but it was just this, like, debilitating fatigue that I'd go in and out of, and I kinda just was like, "Okay, I just got divorced. I'm going through a grieving process.
right.
This is probably one of, other than illness, the hardest things I've ever done."
Yeah,
Like, "Alright, I can grasp I'm not gonna be doing so hot right now."
right. Yeah.
Um, but that was my next kind of, like, transformation with my body of really not doubting that it's not physical. I did start to doubt, like, "Oh, okay, what is going on? Am I reacting to something?" Like, those thoughts and fears started, to creep in because I didn't really understand this whole fatigue process. This was deeper than it had been before.
Mm,
And so, what I learned through the past couple years was, um, my body was kinda recalibrating. Like, I did have to go through a lot of shame.
mm,
Lots of shame and grief that I had never felt before. I have not lost someone that close to me. I've never felt grief like that before.
mm,
And although I know 100% it was the right decision for me, and I actually am in that person where I'm like, I'm really grateful for the process. I know I needed that to happen. I was supposed to be married and I was supposed to get divorced.
mm,
Very much so. Much so believe in that
mhm,
because it's taught me so much and it's helped me create my authentic life so much more.
mm,
I am like I am so more me than I ever have been,
mm,
and I think because of that process.
mm,
And again, it wasn't even a conscious thing in terms of, "Oh, I know I'm gonna be so much happier." Oh, I mean, kind of. That's
mhm.
why you get divorced because 'cause you're not happy, but, um, yeah, there was a combination between, "Oh, I'm starting to learn what my authenticity is,
Yeah.
and I'm exploring that essentially." I didn't really know. I did kind of the whole stereotypical thing, and I, like, sold everything and went and traveled as a nomad for a while, and then
No.
after a time realized this is really unsettling and I need some grounding and my nervous system is freaking out. So
Mm,
that's when I came back to settle. And um, the emotional process that I've gone through is the recognition that even though I've been a therapist and I've been in therapy since I was 15 years old,
mhm.
I actually didn't know how to be with the deeper emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that earlier in the divorce process, if I had learned and understood how to be with those really deep emotions, I don't think my physical body would have suffered as much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And what
Yeah.
I mean by that is, like, I would let myself cry. I would let myself be sad,
Mhm,
I would do that.
mhm,
I knew how to kinda hold myself, um, but I wasn't fully making the connections of this separation actually is a activator and trigger for maybe the separation that I felt as a child.
mhm, mhm.
Or this, actually relationship that I was in, I felt so much more alone in that just like I did as a child with my
Yeah,
parents who weren't very regulated themselves.
yeah,
And I wasn't making those connections, and I also still was feeling shame for where I was. I was still criticizing myself,
yeah.
not super consciously, I will say,
Mm.
but it was there.
Mhm.
Um Oh, and I definitely didn't let myself feel anger. That's a big one for me. I am that
Mm,
stereotypical, like, never learned how,
mhm.
stuff it down. Really was that person was like, "I don't know how to feel anger. I'm just not." I don't know, I'm not an angry person,
Mhm.
it's not me.
Mhm.
But, oh, no, no, no. I have learned how to feel anger and realize that it's very important, especially from how I grew up, but also, like, as a woman, like, what that means to feel anger.
Mhm.
And so those are the emotions not only have I learned to be with through Journal Speak Process by Nicole Sachs,
Mhm.
but also through my own, somatic practice, and I have a somatic and spiritual coach that has really helped me embody those emotions in a safe space.
Mhm.
For me, again, my body is my process, and I'm really big into embodiment and movement.
Mhm.
And so that's my personal process. It's helpful for me to literally enact how I feel.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes when I have realized, oh, when I kind of had made the aha of, oh, maybe I haven't actually been feeling those deeper emotions. I will say there's a period of me kind of like I will consciously get it, and then I sometimes will have to kinda get myself there. It's not just like, "Oh, now I'm free flowing with emotions."
Mhm.
It's I have to kinda be like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense to be angry about."
Mhm.
Thinking mind, I'm like, "Okay, I'm not trying to think about it. How do I feel?"
Mhm. Yeah,
My
yes, it's
body
hard.
into the feeling, you
Yeah.
know? That's been a really big connection. My mind is strong. I'm a very analytical person. Um, I also have deep emotions, and so I've been really working on trying to embody that and feel that deeper
Mhm.
connection.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And I'm curious, could like, if we could sit with just for a little bit longer, just so, like, people listening have some examples so they can apply this to themselves, like, as best they can. Um, the idea, like, I love the what you're saying about, like, I needed to be living more authentically, including, like, I needed to acknowledge my emotions, including anger, which I fun like, I have weirdly the same I'm not an angry person, also not true. I thought that at one point that
Mhm.
that's not accu like, let me just say this for anybody listening. If you think you're not an angry person, that's not true. So just, take that in
Yep.
and think about how that applies to you. But if you could just share a little bit, when you're saying, like, "I needed to be more authentic to myself. I needed to allow my anger." Like, if you could just give people some examples so they can sort of get a sense of, like, what does that look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll use the example of the divorce to kind of
Great,
conceptualize it and then share how I felt it.
great.
Um, so just a tiny bit of background, my relationship ended in a very cordial way, if you will. Like, I mean, it was not a messy divorce. It was a amicable and like really hard, but um, we moved on with kindness.
Mm,
And so I had this conceptualization of, oh, I still have love for him. He's a great person. And we just weren't going to work out. And I'm so much happier now. And
mhm,
I kind of moved on. And over time, as I reflected more, I started to then kind of become that person that would say snippy things like,
mm,
oh, well, he did this or he did that, or like
mhm,
reflecting back on the relationship, "Oh, this is how I couldn't have done this," or whatever it was, I started to feel the frustration and irritability.
mhm,
And then as I reflected more, hindsight's 2020, we don't see everything in the minute in the moment. Just like any breakup, you reflect back and like, "Oh, whoa, I saw that pattern. Oh, I saw that pattern."
mhm,
And so then I started to actually get angry and
mhm.
then realized, oh, this is the anger that was never felt that I actually really need to feel. I was never allowed to be angry in that relationship. I was
Yeah,
never allowed myself to be angry in general.
yeah.
So once I started to recognize this with the help of a therapist and mentor of being like, hey, that's anger.
Mhm,
This
yeah,
is normal.
yeah.
I mean, you should be angry,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm,
This is not to say again that I think that, "Oh my gosh, he's this horrible person. I'm always
mhm,
gonna be angry at him and resentful."
mhm,
That's not healthy either
mhm,
necessarily to just sit in that resentment and anger forever,
mhm,
but it is healthy and needed
mhm.
to recognize that that situation does evoke anger.
Yeah,
That's normal. That's
yes,
healthy. It's a human response.
yes.
So, I started to feel more of that
Mhm,
and really get angry at him that I never allowed myself to do because, "Oh, he's not a bad person. He didn't mean
right.
to do that."
Right.
So I shouldn't be angry at him because he didn't mean to.
Mhm.
That doesn't matter. You can still be angry and he can still be a good person.
Right. Right.
That connection for me, especially when it comes to the emotion of anger, was so powerful because I've always been the person that, like, is the peacekeeper, keeps the
Mhm.
peace around everyone, obviously the therapist and the family, and, like,
Mhm.
is the manager, and so if someone's trying to be kind and they're not meaning to be mean, then how can you be angry at them?
Sure. Right.
So, for me, my process was like, oh, recognizing that and then starting to understand it and then really starting to get angry and feel it and release that, release that. Yeah.
I'm sure people listening relate to that. I mean, the idea that, first of all, like these little, what feel like surface level emotions, like noticing yourself like getting snippy about like just little like harsh comments to say about the
Mhm.
relationship. That okay, what I'm hearing is like that's indicative of something deeper. I love that, and then the other thing I'm hearing is like the self-compassion there is so powerful. When you say like,
Mhm.
I'm not allowed to be angry. I shouldn't be angry. This, that, there's so many reasons why I quote unquote shouldn't be feeling this way. But what you're acknowledging is like, but I am feeling it. And so, okay. And I mean, same. I mean, the number of emotions that I have not allowed myself to feel because I mean, truly a lot of this, I wonder for many people, uh, certainly, for clients, I think for many people, and definitely for me, for a lot of us, this stuff is the seeds are sown in childhood with like, don't feel your emotions, whatever whatever you, however you come to it, that you're taught in some way, like, don't like you're not really allowed to feel your emotions, and you're not really allowed to be yourself, like not really allowed to be like authentic, so like it's a massive turnaround. This is like what you're talking about is a massive psychological turnaround.
Yeah, it very much so is. I feel like I've had many different points of transformation in my life that just life just keeps being like, "Nope, you gotta go deeper. Nope, you gotta go deeper. Nope, we're gonna give you this. We're gonna give you that." I'm like, "All right, all right."
Uh, I know,
Um,
and I'm still on that journey myself of you gotta go
oh,
deeper,
yeah.
you gotta go deeper. I'm like, "God, really?"
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing process.
It is, it totally is. But, okay, so now you do this, professionally.
Mhm.
To tie the story up, I mean, especially with, like, all the, like, the histamine reactions, so many different symptoms you have or you have had, like, could you just give us a picture of, like, how are you doing? What symptoms have you been able to, like, let go of and say goodbye to? Because that provides so much, like, hope and inspiration for people. So if you could say a little bit about that, that'd be awesome.
Definitely. So, um, any type of food sensitivity, pain in my body, physical pain, um, headaches, um now I will say the deeper level of fatigue, and I'll explain that in a second. Those truly, especially the food and body, I really don't experience them anymore,
Awesome.
um, like, at all.
That's amazing.
The fatigue has been the longest thing for me
Mhm,
to work with.
mhm,
Honestly, up and until this year,
mhm,
I and I kinda felt it, like, there were multiple points this year where I had crashes, and
mhm,
I was like, "What is going?"
mhm,
And it was just honestly, even just in the past few months of me hitting a couple different points of it coming up and me working through it and releasing the fear around it, the questioning around it, the emotional work with what's been presenting me in life recently.
mhm.
And I was actually just talking to a friend the other day and she was like, you seem really good. Like you've been fine the past couple months. And I was like, I know. I feel great.
Yeah,
I'm like, I like feel really good. And I feel like
right,
I'm more embodied than ever. And
right.
so I'm never gonna say I'm perfect, but like
Yeah,
I feel like I have a really good grasp these days on symptoms and working with them and not even really experiencing them anymore. So
beautiful. That is so awesome, and I hope people listening are like, "Wow." Because that, it's just, what a nice, hopeful, wonderful place to be.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, if you wanna say a little bit as we're sort of, winding down, a little bit about, what you do professionally, how you integrate this into your work, and, how people could, reach out to you if they are interested.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a few different ways that I offer this work. I do have private therapy availability right now, a couple more spots. The main thing that I'm offering right now is my Mind Body Healing Method program. So I've created a group program that includes so much that I have learned along the way and then help clients through. So it's has some PRT, pain reprocessing therapy in it. It has some of the emotional work, some somatic based practices, some trauma integration work, kind of all the things I was trained in and also personally have gone through and found that my clients are helped through as well. Put it all into this 3-month group program where you get weekly calls with me and a small group of people. You get all these online learning modules and practices and lessons that you get to have forever. And it's a really sweet space to bring this work to people in a really accessible way and to not feel alone. Cause I mean, I'm sure for you and other people listening, like, at least for me, again, like I said, I didn't know about this community. Had no idea any of this was here. And I felt very alone for a long time.
Totally.
No one understood me, right? No one got it. No, I could never relate to anyone. And so this is where you can relate to people and get to be seen in that way. And yeah, right now, actually, as this is coming out, I'm having a bit of a sale for that. So if
Yes.
you want to find me over on anywhere really, Instagram is Heal with Grace. My podcast is Heal with Grace, which you just came on and will be coming out soon.
Yes.
And then my website is elevatetherapywellness.com.
Lovely. And all that will be in the show notes underneath. Would you mind sending me an email right after this with all that? And I'll just easy copy paste. It'll all be there.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's perfect. And yeah, Grace's podcast is awesome. And I actually found out about it because, if you're on Apple Podcasts and you scroll down to the bottom, it's like what would podcast recommended for you?
Mm,
If you're on mine, it shows me yours. And I was like,
love
oh,
that.
look at that. And I was like, oh my God. And she's interviewing like all the, all the same people in the same world. And how awesome is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah.
But okay, as we're closing out, any final words of like hope or inspiration or anything that you would want to offer to people who are listening to this?
I do. Yeah. I mean, as you can hear, I've had so many different points along this story, my journey. And so if you have kind of dipped your toes into this work, but you're not really sure about it, or you're skeptical, or maybe you've tried something and it didn't work, that's okay. That's normal.
Yeah.
It takes some time. It's a totally radical 180 approach to understanding your health and your body.
Yes.
Like, it takes time to understand it and figure it out. So if you're there, if you're kind of like, I don't know, or in and out or frustrated, just keep learning, keep diving, keep getting support and help. I mean, people can do it on their own. It's hard. So get the support if you can do it.
I love that. I mean, yeah, yeah. I love the like get the support and like it's okay if it doesn't work right away. Like it and stick with it. I mean, I always describe there are three parts to doing this: the psychological work, the emotional work, and the work of really attuning to your true self. Um, Christina Sarno Horner, she when she came on the podcast, she was like, low key, there's four parts, and the fourth part is like stick with it.
Oh, I
So-
love that. Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, yeah, because of what you're saying. I mean, there's so many reasons to believe that it's not worth it. It's not worth sticking with, and you're defended against your emotions, and your brain is telling you, no, 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 don't keep doing this. And the doubt is strong. I mean, there's so many reasons why you wouldn't stick with it. But yes, I agree. Grace and I are both saying stick with
Yeah.
it. Well,
Thanks for
awesome.
having me, Sean.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a really great conversation. I know it's going to help people. And I hope people but for those of you listening, yeah, if you need someone to do this with, if the group support sounds awesome. Community is so helpful. The link is in the show notes, so reach out. Okay, thank you, Grace. This has been awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much. And
you.
of course, and for everybody listening, this has been Mind Body Medicine for Chronic Pain, and I will talk to you next week.